GhPage.
Make a Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Obisa, Amissah Arthur. 170 questions.
True.
I didn't know all the same seat. I didn't miss answer question.
Ebusia o manga na mu sensem na smart TV eboabo bia ne enso ya betena se e dia besom na mo nso modumadwenche ehye e wo comment section na de besi bia nso ya pense mu abọ ho komo na sese ni nyina etimi awie peye e di ama we makwa abade di kan e de ba ye channel yi so afesi da se abanya mo nso mo je bre e di hia ye yenso yetimi e di ensem abesom sanse eni ho a muni ho sanso e na musu muni ho ebusia yenso ye ni ho midi no e ba ko pe enana akosia adepa ensem bi ese twagu e wo social media so ni nyina e for manga na chese ebi fa ya manosem ho ebi fa ya fiefie nsem ebi nso e ye social media bi fu nsem ya sabe yenko na se yentwa ye ho e wo social media no so enko nsem fa sabre asabo atwemi ba e betna se aka ho ase
Duties are duty. There are about 18 different taxes. It's unheard of anywhere in the world. Yeah,
you raised the concern.
Of course.
Yeah,
hotels are so expensive in this country.
Yeah.
Hotel charges now could work a damn hotel room. You ask yourself, what am I paying for? I complained. Hotel for maintenance, 17 different taxes.
I see.
You see, send me my way, and I get bonds. They buy bonds, I get. You know, the usage. So, send me a how would you pride yourself, say, when inflation, your interest rate is about 14, not a 35.
I see.
How?
But in all of these, of course, Obofour, one of your contenders, he can't really be blamed for it because on your driving seat, so you can't blame him that much.
You see, first of all, but there are no credit, there are account. Amissah contender GhPage.
Make a Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Obisa, Amissah Arthur. 170 questions.
True.
I didn't know all the same seat. I didn't miss answer questions.
It's Amissah 170 questions. Obitime yano. But what should Obitime yano?
I don't know. Because of late, he doesn't even talk about the economy. He talks about digital.
It's about me fully economy not running away from the economy. On economy.
Maybe I want him to talk about it. I'm not saying it's our failure, but the way he was boldly talking about and criticizing Mahama and NDC government, he should be bold to talk about the economy. For Ghanaians to assess him. That's it.
Enti Minia.
Yo. Nini na chiri no. NC Vice President. Ni dwumadie pa ni sen. Vice President ni dwumadie pa ni sen.
Yo, minim se ahwefo de Ghana fo a etie me. Enim se Vice President position the second gentleman of the land. But ene evidence based because when him se me kasa bebre make several analysis. Ya na MPP for no fee say me say MPP party. Ana say me person MPP co-opposition. Menche hono me pese ye beko the second lady Samira Bawumia bra all kind the role of the vice president. Enti ahwefo nkonkotie na obia make the judgment enya se me na make o na pom yesika kum kwakuo so that horo enti producer fa video no so tum na ahwefo so pass judgment.
He's got the focus, he's got the mindset, he's got the experience in macroeconomics, and even as a general academician oni mejuma ejuma ne ye ena ono so ewo adwempa ne akonopa ni nyansa. He'll bring it to bear. We are vice president. You head the economic management committee of the country. Into economic policies now will be driven by you, and I say will be directed by you. Into I know say he's competent in that area. He's got the focus. He's got the mindset. He's got the experience in macroeconomics, and even as a general academician, oni mejuma ejuma ne ye ena ono so ewo adwempa ne akonopa.
That's the beautiful wife of the vice president, who now calls himself a driver's mate, not an assistant driver. You heard what she said. Said if you are the vice president, you take charge of everything, economic management team, the policies and etc. driven by you, as has been confirmed on Bawumia.com. So why is Dr. Bawumia running away from what has been implemented? What he said, he guided the implementation and shaped the formulation of the policies. This is what Dr. Bawumia said. He said, I have worked at the bank.
So I can see, said now the vice president position is very clear.
Yes.
Say you are the head of economic management team. Say vice president and yet the head of economic management team. In Kayura vice president, Ontwi said the late Amissah Arthur 170 economic questions.
Okay.
So what you say?
Yeah.
So it is clear. Inti mesre me nuanom MPP for no. Me wonye MPP ni nsane me do MPP but Ghana first.
Okay.
Ghana first.
Ghana first.
Yes.
Okay. Yo, nyempesa me say bi say biem ni say ye heard the whole scenario na. Ene ne Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia ekogina UPSC hono mo ekokan ye na. Efa position ya wogina as a vice president. Me be say me busa say na do danko Akufo ado. Wa neglect vice president ana.
Wey minia Mr. Felix. Minim se ahwefo ne atiefo a etie yewura vice president. Bebrina esi omutirase. Na me nyina ha emmeka se wa neglect no anase onya neglect no. Ene ye production no ye evidence based.
Okay.
Enti me pese ahwefo ne atiefo enhwe videos ne ensema hodo a yewura vice president Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia okaye.
Okay.
Bra na oye opposition vice president. Enti yetie sa ansem no nyina wie a na ye de atoto ensema okan no wo UPSC ho.
Okay.
Say ne ye say NPP president Nana Danko Akufo ado neglect no.
So neglect
no.
Atiefo be. Okay.
The Ghana cedi has obtained the dubious distinction of being the weakest performing currency in Africa at this point in time. Interestingly, the NDC Green Book claims exchange rate stability as one of their unprecedented achievements. In an open economy with market determination of prices, exchange rate movements are the most important indicator of underlying macroeconomic fundamentals. As the saying goes, when in doubt, observe the exchange rate. The lesson from history for governments is that you cannot manage the economy with propaganda. In fact, you can engage in all the propaganda you want, but if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. The type of free fall that we are seeing with the cedi exchange rate is a vote of no confidence by market players in the management of the economy.
Currencies depreciate when the fundamentals are wrong.
Right.
And the mismanagement of this economy in terms of the fundamentals is what was driving the depreciation of the currency. You can't be running double-digit deficits, double-digit current account and fiscal deficits, borrowing to this extent, financing your deficit with huge printing of money from the central bank, and expect your currency to be stable. The fundamentals will not support it.
Has the government achieved single-digit inflation?
Well, that is for everybody else to judge. My point
Do you
was
doubt that they have achieved single-digit
my point is that the single-digit inflation that we are seeing is not consistent, in my opinion, humble opinion, that is not consistent with developments that we are seeing in the cost of living. You know, I mean, the single-digit inflation is supposed to be driven by food prices. So, you know, ask every, you know, woman, man who goes to the markets and ask about food prices between last year and this year and see how food prices have been increasing. My visits to the markets, whether it's in Malatar or Tamale or wherever, suggest that food prices are really going up. That is clear. I mean, in Bolga Market, for example, as I pointed out in my lecture, maize, a staple, maize, you know, where we eat tozafi every day from maize, went up by 60% within just the last year, more than 100% in Accra. I mean, you know, so the point is that when you look at the cost of living, you know, the benefits of a single-digit inflation rate doesn't seem reflected in the cost of living.
This is why we got into the IMF. You were spending too much relative to revenues, which is true. You were borrowing too much, which is true. Your external payments position has deteriorated, which is true. And so you ended up, your growth is reducing, which is true. So you ended up at the IMF, and the IMF would impose certain conditions, which is true. And if you don't do certain things right, the anchor will not hold, which is true. So I'm not quite sure what it is that is not true that I said. But I think, unfortunately, the supporters of this government and this government itself are very reluctant to admit the truth, even when it hits them in the face. Yeah.
True. Thank you about that.
I think.
Okay.
Ono Nkansah kasa for the economy no ho. Into criticisms are or the kama or kaye efa Ghana's economy ho. Na o de compare Euro vice president and Sema or Kanwo UPS ho na. That means utimu say
oni baby awoko.
That is it.
Oni baby awoko.
That is it.
Okay. The person me bisa say o hwe Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia position wo gina niema wo ye now. Any honorable Kenna o hwe o mumienu hwan pa na e disgrace MPP ana government na wo so sisi a
ha na mepese obi biara betie ni ye ye wo kromu ha na MPP fo bi mo sore se Kennedy Kwame Akompre kwa Japan ye anti MPP Kennedy Kwame Akompre kwa Japan ogu MPP animase ogu MPP party enti mpanimfo no share that to delegate no ne grassroots for no team say Kennedy Akompre kwa Japan pe MPP asem Kennedy Japan ne nsema a oka bia no egu MPP na me bisa wa wutie me say Yewra vice president nsem na okaye no eboa MPP anase egu MPP wa Nkasa jeje mame MPP communicator jeje mame yewo kromu ha na Yewra vice president Yewra ponkroma kra na bekai 11 nsem
okay
and no kra no yes, vice president, we are very instrumental in drafting of the e-levy. Yewra president Nana Danko Akufo Addo. And also Mr. producer and fancy video no tunto.
Okay.
Let's talk about one of the structures that you say you've put in place. The e-levy, a lot of people are calling it a stealth tax on people who already are impoverished. It's a 1.5% tax on people who do business on their mobile phones. So if they use their mobile phones to send money or to...
The digital economy, the mobile economy.
Yes, but you're taxing people on money that has already been taxed.
is the biggest economy in the is emerging as the biggest economy in the country, and for a long period has not had any taxation at all. So it is important now that they also come into the net. Our country has one of the lowest tax to GDP ratios of any country in West Africa and of an equivalent economy. The ECOWAS area, the general average today, tax to GDP average is about 18%. Ghana, we're at 13%. So it's as if you're talking about a country which is already overtaxed, if anything at all, is undertaxed.
Oko BBC, na ye interview no. The President of the Republic defended the e-levy. Na waba bejina podium simpie so awiase nyina ehwel na obeka se the e-levy no oba obetwam na wonim ahweho sama na ehwo so ka so obetwam no MPP mpanfo mo ho nyina na mo asom ye obeka se wo opposition
mwana mkotena parliament na
mo je tu mu